Welcome to my news station, which is apparently my office now. I was telling my husband yesterday that I feel like I missed my calling as a news reporter. Although, given how mainstream media works, I probably did not want to be associated with those people. Anyways, so maybe when all this blows over, I might just get a new gig as an online media reporter. Wouldn't that be something? Okay, so hello, please say hi as you hop on, so I can greet you. And if you're new and you're watching me from IG or Facebook, tell me your name and where you are watching from, especially on Instagram, because all I see is your handle, and sometimes your handle is not your name and it just has like crazy numbers and letters in it. And I'm like, who is this? So let me know who you are so I can say hi. Hi, Angela. So if you're not familiar with my Fireside chats, I have made it an effort to show up almost daily and give you guys an updated report, hi John, on what I'm receiving from a lot of different channels. So just so that you know, I get my resources from as non-biased as possible. So I actually signed up for a newspaper called the Epoch Times, spelled Epoch Times, so that I could get unbiased news. And I do follow some people on social media that are very connected with politics, and they're just constantly sharing facts. Like, this is what the president is sharing. These are clips from the media that are relevant to XYZ thing. These are people who know a lot of economy, financial history, are teaching me a lot of things about the economy that I didn't know, that when you go online and you learn about them, you're like, oh, that was a thing. I didn't know that. Like most Americans, we're not very educated on economy or finances or how the government even works. Like, most of us took a civics class when we were like in 7th grade, and a lot of that information was wrong to begin with, and a lot of it was left out. So you and I, my friends, are in a period of time where we are learning our history almost for the very first time. Hi, Bridget. Hi, Alyssa. A lot of what we have been taught has been very purposefully scripted. And I remember the first time I was ever told that. I was actually told that by one of my history teachers in high school. I had 2 really amazing history teachers in my high school, Mr. Kaz and Mr. Madnikoff, which I hope one of these videos makes it to you one day and that you feel proud of me currently doing this, because I don't think you'd ever imagine that I would do a service like this. But they were 2 patriots. I would call them true patriots. They were 2 of the most influential teachers I've ever had in my whole life. They did not care about taking sides. They were about their country. And get emotional talking about them. Dr. Kaz, Mr. Kaz since has passed away. Mr. Madikov, as far as I know, has not. But they were 2 of the most influential people in my life, because they began to plant the seed of not everything that you are given by your government is actually true. And I remember Mr. Madikov, who used to be a police officer, he told us what our rights were if we ever got stopped by a cop. He told a bunch of teenage kids, hey, if you ever get stopped, these are your rights. I want you to know them so that you can't ever be played because you're young. And I had so much respect for him for doing that. He was just an amazing human being. But that was really the beginning of me, hey Sarah, of me seeing that there was something going on, and there has been for a long time, underneath what we're being taught and shown in these books. And so now that I'm doing these fireside chats and I'm getting on here and educating you guys, I'm also educating myself. Hi, Kobe. Hi, Regina. And I think it's really important that you guys take the terms that I give you right here on these videos and research them for yourself. If you've noticed, during every one of my videos, I'm giving you guys some questions to like do a little bit of research on, so that you can learn about your own history and you can learn about economy and finances, things that we were never taught. I didn't know, you probably didn't know either. That's always going to be part of my reports, because I don't believe in just giving you information and being like, believe everything I say. I believe in research, and I believe in giving you as transparent information as possible. So whatever you hear here, if you think it's weird, go and research it. And if you find something else, message me and send it to me. I'm happy to read it. I want to tie that into what I'm going to say next. This is not about being on any sides of this weird political spectrum that we've been fed. I'm a Democrat, I'm a conservative, I'm a liberal, whatever. None of those words. I don't care about that. This conversation goes beyond that. I'm going to bring up some of those terms in the conversation today because they're relevant as far as what's happening in the Senate and in Congress, but not because I want you guys to pick a side or not pick a side. I will tell you that I'm having a very different opinion opinion of the leadership of this country, the more that I do independent research. I am learning that a lot of what we have been told or shown, or the clips that the media has specifically chosen to show us about our leadership, including our president, have been very on purpose orchestrated so that we develop an on purpose opinion of our leadership. And that is illegal, actually. And they need to be charged for that, because giving the public false information is illegal. Hey, Nick. So all college books have what they want you to know. Yep, academia is run by a very small select group of people. And so a lot of what you've learned in academia was structured specifically for you to only know a certain amount of information. So if you're on Instagram, you can't see the title of this fireside chat, so I'm gonna read it out. Chat number 7, some suspicious ass COVID diagnoses. A little economy history lesson on markets, an update on financial help from Congress, special focus on what the media is attempting to move, and some interesting finds from different people on social media. So I am paying attention to a lot of things at the same time. And my idea of coming and doing these videos is that I synthesize all that information, because one of my gifts happens to be comprehension. Extremely rapid when it comes to reading and comprehension and synthesizing information. And I know what takes me an hour to do would take a person 3 days. I just know that about my brain and the way that my brain works. So I am trying to make this every day, give you a package that you can easily absorb, and then go do your own research based on what you've been given. That's my goal with these videos, okay? Keep you informed. To me, there is no greater gift than being an informed citizen. Hey, Natalia, than being an informed citizen and being educated and being empowered by way of those things. So that's what I'm attempting to do. Hi, Mary. Okay, so the first one, y'all probably have seen this news article rolling around, hey JR, of the fact that Harvey Weinstein got diagnosed with COVID. Now, anybody else find that weird? I'm just gonna start right there. Anybody else see that and go, no? Nobody else? Come on, I'm waiting for some comments. I know. I wasn't the only one that saw that and went, how in the bloody hell? Yes, give me a cape in a phone booth. That's right, Mr. Superman. Okay, so Natalia's watching this like, yeah, I thought that was weird as hell. Anybody else thought that was weird? That this dude, let me put this into perspective for y'all, okay? He was given a diagnosis. Okay, first of all, let's, JR's like me. Shit's weird. Okay. So let me give you a little background on your homeboy, Mr. Harvey, okay? So, Mr. Weinstein has a lot of elbow rubbing with criminal AF activity in this country and probably beyond, okay? He is a known sex offender, not by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 accounts, but by dozens and dozens of accounts. I mean, you're talking about insanity, the numbers stacked against this homeboy, okay? Then he goes to trial. Okay, he goes to trial, right? And here's a little something some people missed when they were arresting his ass and driving him from court to trial to prison, etc. He was holding a book. Did y'all ever notice this? Man, I wish I could do like screen shares and screenshots, because this is where it gets so good. He had this book with him, and the book was this really famous book. It's an older book that was all about basically, how do I synthesize this knowledge? It's all about like the protagonist of the story giving away other people's information. So basically betraying a whole bunch of people, okay? So you've got to know that that dude knows almost everybody in the industry that's doing some shade shit. Yeah? Can we all get on board with that? He is the center source of a lot of information. And unlike Epstein, who got suicided, God only knows how. I'm not even going to begin that trend. Homeboy ended up suicided, who was another center source point of a lot of information. Okay, sketchy AF. This homeboy, they have really worked to keep alive. to get him to talk. Okay. The background to his jail time, so he was officially given 23 years, right? That's what we all heard on the news, right? Hey, Carly, we heard he was given 23 years. On the back end of that, from a lot of the research that I've seen, he was actually originally given 55. 55. Now, homeboy is not spring chicken, okay? So 23 might as well be 55, where we're at. That's true. But he was originally given 55, which is a life sentence. Now, they were willing to give him a lighter sentence if he cooperated. Oh, because they love to play that card, don't they? They're like, hey, if you give us this, we'll give you this, okay? So the 23 years was actually a side effect of the 55, like of him cooperating. So what do y'all imagine that he cooperated with to get a lighter sentence? Anybody want to take a guess? Anybody want to take a guess on what your homeboy cooperated with so he could get a lighter sentence? Come on, tell me. What do you think he gave him? He had to give him something important, right? Hey, Morgan. What did he give these people? What do you think he gave these people? What do you think he gave that was so valuable? Just gave you a hint with the book he was carrying. Anybody want to give me some votes, ideas? Let's see, there's a new comment. Threw everyone under the bus. Yes, he sure did. He sure did. And notice that they put him in isolation, and he was very safeguarded in isolation because he didn't want him being suicided or anything. You know what I mean? Like, apparently doorknobs are real deadly for famous people. Y'all gotta be careful with the doorknobs and the stars. They're just crazy. So he definitely ratted them out, gave him a lighter sentence. Now, how many of you on here are familiar with the concept of Rommel death? Anybody ever heard of that term? I do a little bit of research on that and where that term actually came from. Just wondering if anybody else knows about it. Yeah, doorknobs, they're crazy. Y'all better stay away. If you're famous, you better stay away from the doorknobs because they are coming for you. So for those of you who don't know what that term means, it means chosen death. So a lot of times people will be given, when it's a high profile investigation like that and they get incarcerated or found out or charged or whatever, they get a choice on how they get to pass, or if they get to go to trial, or if they get to just die mysteriously, an accident, a plane crash, a blah blah, and you're done. Yeah, it's an option to suicide. That's exactly right. So let me ask you a question. Everybody knew that Harvey was not in the best health. Chap isn't looking real strong these days. Chap hasn't been looking real strong for a while, probably because he's on withdrawals from something. Anyways, so he hasn't been looking real great. And then all of a sudden, okay, Bridget just read about that term the other day. He is now diagnosed with COVID-19. And who does COVID-19 have the highest percentage of hurting? That we have been told. Older people, health compromised people, right? He is older. He's also health compromised. So if he gets this diagnosis and then he appears dead, we're all like, oh, well, that makes sense because he got sick, right? And there's been cases of people who got it, who were in those conditions, who died. So now our brains are like, oh, that's why. This is so brilliant, you guys. Like, they have planned this out to the last detail. I just want y'all to pay attention how much they've planned this, how detailed it goes, okay? Even from the day and the time that they announce things, it's like timed almost, like very timed. It's very suspiciously timed. So if you thought that was a weird ass diagnosis, it was for sure weird, super weird. And well, now here we are. I don't know how he got that. I don't know what the heck he got in contact with being in isolation. He did. And shortly we'll hear about him passing, I'm sure, because that's how that rolls. He already spilled his guts. Everybody knows all the information he has, so he's literally useless at this point. So he's taking up space in a jail cell, which you're going to need. So hear that guy out, move on. That's what's happening. An interesting resignation or a step down. So I'm in a group where someone from Germany was reporting directly that Chancellor Merkel was in self-quarantine and stepped down. I just got an indication today from the Epoch Times that her test was in fact negative. I haven't read the whole article, but the person from Germany, found it very, very interesting that she would step down or go into self-quarantine at all before she absolutely knew that it was necessary. She was like really shook about that step down. So, we were talking about Harvey Weinstein and his weird ass COVID diagnosis, which just dropped yesterday on the media, and everybody's like, but how though? But how? So I was just explaining why he got diagnosed, pretty much. So that happened. Okay, so right now, a lot of people are really panicking about the martial law thing. So I just want to give you some opinions from people that I've followed that have been following a lot of what is happening right now, but for years, because in their opinion, there has been a lead up to being in the situation that we're in right now. And actually someone who talked about that was Dr. Stephen Greer, who I've mentioned his name before when it comes to UFO ET stuff, but he also was an emergency room doctor for a long time. And the dude is, Melanie's definitely that, right? But the dude is really gifted and really smart. So he did an awesome YouTube video, which I just shared in my Workout Warrior group, about precautions to take and understanding like cross-contamination and what that actually is. So if you're out there wearing gloves and touching everything, like you're not safe. Like the virus doesn't penetrate your skin, which is something that he wants you to understand. The danger is not that you touch something that contains the virus. The danger is you then touch the thing that contains the virus, and then you touch your eyes or you touch your mucous membrane, and then it becomes a problem, which is why they're telling you to scrub down and wash your hands, blah, blah, blah. But you wearing gloves doesn't really help the situation because you're cross-contaminating, touching all the things, and then forgetting and still touching your face anyways, right? So like, and he also says that gloves are a problem because you don't really wash your hands with gloves on. You can't decontaminate the gloves. So might as well just have your hands and just make sure you're constantly disinfecting them, which makes total sense. So just FYI, if you're out there with gloves, like gloves can be contaminated because it's a surface virus. It's not like going to penetrate your skin and then take you out that way. That's not how that works. So yeah, so Gates also stepped down from his board recently. Fascinating. What about Russia? Isn't that interesting how all of a sudden we don't know much about Russia, do we? There's not like a lot of updates about that, which is I find very, very interesting. One of the other things, by the way, that I read in the news is that and I read in the Epoch Times, as I said, is that there has been a massive downplay in China about what's actually happening with the virus and a lot of misreporting. And also, this ties into one of the TikTok videos I watched today from a nurse. And it's funny, not funny, because when she shared this TikTok video, the title of it said, "If I go missing, now you know why." And I don't think that's funny, but I also don't find it outrageous, because when I tried to share her video, the link wouldn't work. And it was like, video removed. And I'm like, the shit that makes you go, right? Like if we're really here to spread awareness, why are videos like that being removed or disappearing? And why does she feel the need to write a title in her video saying, "If I disappear, now you know why"? Y'all need to start asking questions. So her story was, she works at a doctor's office. Some little kid came in and, he was coughing. He had all the symptoms of a flu, basically. They tested him for flu. He tested negative, right? At which point the doctor sends him home. Listening? Sends him home out of the practice. And as they're leaving, and the doctor says to this nurse, "I think that kid has coronavirus." The nurse goes, I'm sorry, you said what? Why did you let that kid walk out of this office? She's like, well, in this state, whatever state they're in, I'm not going to say the state because I don't want to cause problems for that girl. We don't have to test them unless they've traveled internationally. And she was like, it doesn't matter if you're traveling internationally. People are rubbing up against people, spreading the shit all over. It no longer matters if it's international. Like, we got to test that kid. And she just doesn't understand. She's like, her whole brain exploded. So I want you guys to understand. And she even said that. She's like, you know, I've thought about conspiracy theories for a long time. And I got to tell you, it's almost as if they want a pandemic. Ask yourselves that question. It's almost as if they want one. But why though? Why? Why though? Now, Leah brought up the very amazing book by Gates called Bad Blood and the pandemic documentary that Barack Obama and Bill Gates put out right before the shit hit the fan, right? With this mass orchestration about how we need mass vaccinations and we need, like, it was almost like they were championing for a cause before we even fucking needed them. Isn't that weird? Pay attention to this, you guys. It's weird. It's weird, okay? It's a lot like when Kobe died and the next freaking day, Netflix had a special on his death. What? How did you manage to pull that together in 24 hours, Netflix? I want to freaking know. How did you do that? Working day and night just to get the news out? What are you, journalists? How did you know that? That was weird. Nobody caught that, did you? Weird. Okay? Some ain't right. Some is not adding up. And y'all need to be asking yourself some serious questions about why do we have these things on Netflix available at certain times? Like, how did that come out right before this pandemic really kicked up? How did that documentary about his life come up right after he died? Like, what? Those things take time to film and they take time to produce. This is weird. This is weird. Okay? Weird. Anyways, moving on to government stuff. That package that was being put together by Congress to basically help us financially was turned down. So I'm going to report some news. Y'all can decide whatever you want at this point about it. So there was I think it was a $4 trillion stimulus package that was proposed, and it was passed on to Congress, and the Democratic Party blocked the move. And they said it was because there was some serious issues with the proposition. This is what they said. And I was like, okay, well, let's think about what serious issues this proposition could have. One of the things that they talked about was job protection. They're like, well, we got to protect the jobs. I'm like, whenever have we had job protection? I just want you guys to think about how this is like a major point about an employee-employer relationship and a big problem, period. Like, we've never had security in jobs. You are given fake security in your job. You are being sold a job with benefits and blah, 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 blah. And that's how they hook you in. They keep you there forever with zero job security, because a lot of you guys have experience and you can get fired at the drop of a dime with zero to no explanation. You've never had job security. This just happens to be a pandemic that accents that, but literally you've never had job security. So that didn't start now, right? Why would you bring that up now? Like, now you're going to talk about that? We've literally never had that. Maybe we should be having this conversation way back in the way back. Anyways, that's what they said. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. So then I start doing a little bit more research, and I'm like, here's what's real interesting about the New York Times, right? People read the New York Times and they're like, this is a credible source of media. They published like the same article with 3 different titles. And every time they changed the title, it was towards a different, like, it was serving a liberal agenda. It was obvious, because at first all it said was like, this happened in Congress. This was proposed. It was blocked by this party. The end. That was the title of the article. Then same article, I think it was within even the same day, they come out with this, retitled it, Dems block this because we need this. And there was like then a third version of the same article with a different title. I'm like, what is going on? Y'all reported this already once. Why are you reporting it 3 times and why are you changing the title? What's happening right now? That I found weird. So again, do your own research, find all the titles, think whatever you want to think. I find that really weird. Why would that happen? Why would you need to retitle the same article over and over again to tell us the same news that we've already been reading? Because clickbait. We know clickbait articles because we do it on the internet. People put whatever title they want on the internet just to get clicks and points, and they'll appeal to a certain public so that they can get the attention that they want. Okay, so just keep that in mind. That's how media has worked for a while. Okay. So I thought that was interesting. So as we speak, there is currently no stimulus package underway for any of us because it was attempted to pass through Congress and it was blocked. And so there, you can go online and you can see one of the senators making a huge motion, and he's a conservative senator, and it was a pretty impassioned conversation in which he said, I'm really trying to not make this a bipartisan issue. This really needs to not be one. This really needs to be about us deciding what we're going to do for these people because they're struggling. Everyone's struggling. Like, what are we going to do? We need to get together and we need to figure this out as a team, basically. And I thought that was like really well said and really well stated, and I appreciated him saying that. Something else you guys might not know. Oh, so the other thing about martial law, everybody's freaking out about martial law, and from a lot of the resources that I have been following, there's not a belief that that's going to be enacted. People are like terrified they were all going to be shipped into camps, and they're spreading all this like mark of the beast nonsense on the internet. Like, please stop. Please stop terrifying people and stop giving them weird like zombie apocalypse. This is what you get for watching all those dang zombie apocalypse movies and Bird Box and all that bullshit, making your brain sick. This is what happens. Your brain is now sick with terrifying apocalyptic things, and now you can't even think straight. So please stop telling that to other people. We don't know that that's a true or a fact yet. Just educate people and help them stay awake, but don't like terrify them. That's the worst. Like, you're the worst. You're part of the problem. Please stop. Has not been enacted, and in fact, the president has given the states individual governing powers to make decisions state by state. So no, we're not on martial law. There's 2 states that are currently on lockdown. Everybody else who's in quarantine, they're allowed to go outside. You're allowed to walk around. You just have to observe social distancing. That's it. Okay. Yeah, God, the fear mongering is so crazy. Please stop it. Okay. Some terms to learn about the stock market. Okay, so here are some of the questions. Every video I add in some questions. What is the stock market? Something for you to learn about. What is the Main Street market? Did you guys know that we don't just have a stock market? We have 2. We have a stock market, something called the stock market, and something called the Main Street market. What is the central bank? Who owns the central bank? More fascinating question. And how far does the central bank actually stem? More fascinating question. So I didn't know about the Main Street market. I learned about the Main Street market recently. And that's actually important that you understand what kind of financial monitoring we have in this country, and how the stock market became what the stock market became. How did it get so big so fast? How did it become so inflated? How did it get so much reach? Like, really do a little bit of research, a little bit of civics. We're all home. You can do a little homework, do a little bit of civics assignment. Learn use some civics. Learn use some finances. Learn use some economy. It's important. Learn it. Okay. Those are my questions for you. So as you've probably noticed, or maybe you don't know, the president's doing daily updates on COVID. So he's going live and he's doing these national press conferences, and he's talking about what they're doing, what they're finding. And I really encourage all of you guys, if you're not watching them, to watch them. Because regardless of your opinion of this dude, he is the president of this country. And it is his job to be the face of this situation. And what I found real interesting, I've been watching them, is that a lot of what he talks about almost makes no sense, in the sense that he's giving these COVID reports, but he seems to be talking about something else. Something like an unseen enemy. And you're just like, WTF, bro? What do you talk about? What do you talk about, unseen enemy? I thought it was COVID-19. It has a name. We know what it is. We know what we're up against, right? So a lot of what he's saying almost makes no sense. And it makes you go, this guy on something, or he's missed the boat, or and I think that's on purpose, you guys. He's trying to communicate something to you through using the words he's using. So just pay attention. And if you've watched my other Fireside chats, you already know what I think it is. So pay attention and notice when he says stuff like that. And just recently, yesterday, in the last one he gave, he's talking about COVID, he's talking about all these metrics that they're taking, and then he just slides in there just a little thing about how they rescued a young lady from some random country who had horrible things happening to her. He didn't go into detail, he just slid that right in. He's like, oh, by the way, we did this. Boop. Random. Why would he just throw that in the middle of a COVID, like, briefing? I thought that was weird. Interesting. So everybody's talking about this Chinese virus too, which, by the way, realize how much the press takes that and runs with it. But again, we have titled other things like that before. Spanish flu. I don't remember seeing everybody up in arms. I'm Hispanic. My family's from Spain. I wasn't like, this motherfucker calling it the Spanish flu. You better get the fuck out of here, right? Like, no. But suddenly, Chinese virus and it's the fucking end of the world. Like, I'm telling you that a lot of what we are believing and seeing is pushed and it's exaggerated to the max. Please believe that. Please understand that. You are not being allowed to think for your own. They're telling you what to think, and it's freaking sad is what it is at this point. Okay? Ooh, there was in Florida yesterday. Thank you for the update, Julie. More of that to come, like thousands more of that to come. It's gonna get real exciting real soon. Yeah, so in case you didn't know, there has been a big push from the liberal side of the government to suppress these daily briefings, saying things like it's dangerous that he's going live and he's saying all these terrible things to his public, blah, blah, blah. And like senators and people who are in office are saying this. And in my head, I'm like, why would you openly discourage that the president of your country go live and talk about how to handle a national emergency? Meanwhile, panicking and wanting to know information. Why would you discourage that? Why would you discourage that? Why would you discourage the leader of that nation, regardless of your opinion of that person? Because let's be honest, forever we have disagreed on the person heading a country. Many of us don't agree ever. Like, no matter who gets in office, we hate this person, hate the other person. It's like common conversation. But why would you, as a member of Congress, as someone who is supposed to represent the people, so vehemently oppose that your leader go live and try to address their public, calm them, give them updates, whatever? Why don't they want him to tweet as often as he's tweeting? Why? Like, these are the questions I really had to start asking myself to become an informed citizen. And where I'm finding that a lot of my friends and people that I associate with who are hardcore liberal and democratic, they're shutting themselves off to these questions. And I invite you not to do that. That's not called being a patriot. Like, if you really are for this country, become educated. Ask questions. I'm not telling you to change your political agenda. I'm telling you to question everything that seems odd, that seems unpatriotic, that seems un-American by default. Like, why not give them information? Why not let this person go live and give more information to their people? Oh, government's going live right now. Perfect. I'm gonna go catch that. But I'm inviting you guys to question all the narratives that you're being given. Look for independent sources of media. The Epoch Times is a great newspaper. You can get a digital or a physical print. They're offering $1 for your first month. And then after that, for your whole first year, is $4.99 a month if you decide to keep them. I just signed up for my first month because I wanted to see what the newspaper was like, and it's very extensive and covers politics and business and all the things, as well as they have like a whole mind and body section too, which is really cool and stuff that I'm very interested in. But Google those terms, do a little research on all the questions I asked you about the market and stuff, become educated about financial situation is going to change real quick. Our financial markets are going to change really fast. The way that we have money, use money, the way that money shows up, debt ratio, all of that is going to change. So just stay vigilant about that, okay? Stay educated, and I'll give you guys updates, of course, as I come by them. Again, Stephen Greer, he's an emergency doctor. He did an awesome video recently talking about how to actually protect yourself from this virus. And then he also goes into some ET information, which may or may not be helpful depending on if that's of interest. Also, a friend of mine, Mindy Jones, who's really talented with nutrition and an amazing holistic practitioner, she recently posted about quercetin being a natural, basically a natural supplement that is to the medication they're proposing now. I think it's chloroquine. I can't even pronounce the name of that thing. I think it's chloroquine that they're saying, oh, this will work on COVID because it stops virus replication. Well, quercetin is a supplement and it does the exact same thing. Just so happens that my pre-workout that I use before I work out, this is the leftovers of it, one of the primary ingredients is quercetin. And it's also an anti-inflammatory. So it stops viral replication, and it is an anti-inflammatory. So if you can get your hands on quercetin, that's an amazing way to stay really healthy on top of things like zinc and vitamin C, which a lot of you guys already know. But if you need a pre-workout and already want the supplement in it, I have that, so I can send it your way. Okay, so that's it. Those are my updates. Thanks for hanging with me. I'm going to upload it. Again, all of my videos are on YouTube, so if you're catching this one for the first time, it's number 7. There's way more of them. And in number 4, I give my entire background, my education, my experience with all of these theories and where I'm coming from when I'm sharing this information. So go to YouTube. It's Shakti Rios. You click subscribe and click the bell. You have to click the bell and then click all, so you get notified anytime a video gets uploaded. So you can watch all the ones that are there, but also be notified when a new one gets uploaded in case you catch this one halfway or something or miss something, okay? So if you guys have any questions or you want to hear about anything specifically, you can also drop that in the comments. And when I'm doing my research for the next day, I will include those questions in my research and make sure that I find you information that is relevant and that is not biased as much as possible. Again, go catch the briefings that are happening daily. Pay attention to the dialogue and the language that's being used and come up with your own conclusions. All right, my friends, until we meet again, have a good one.